let's talk about the great big wedding boom or alleged wedding boom of 2022, shall we? If you're new here, hi, my name is Jamie. I'm a wedding planner, and most of the time, I'd say about like 90% of the time, I give tips and tricks to teach you how to plan your own wedding because sometimes it can be a little bit crazy out there. But this week, we are going to talk about the alleged wedding boom of 2022. Yes, I said alleged. We can use finger quotes too, because I feel like we got to talk about this. Right? First of all, what is the wedding boom? What is this boom that is happening? If you are new and you're like, what? Should I be scared? What's happening? So what we're seeing is an increase of weddings over 2022. In fact, it has been predicted by, I think it was the Wedding Report specifically that predicted this, that we will be seeing about 2.5 million weddings in 2022 alone. Now that sounds like a massive number, right? Like real big. And the concern here is that couples will not get the venue they want, the vendors they want, the date they want, the style they want, that they will have to sacrifice a lot of their vision for their big day or get married in 2023 to even stand a chance. Like if you don't book things right now, you will not find a spot. And there was something about this rhetoric that wasn't sitting well with me. We are seeing it everywhere. Brides magazine's talking about it. CNBC's talking about it. And we're seeing this on all these different platforms. Beware the wedding boom. And we're also seeing a lot of, vendors are raising their prices. So buyer beware, they didn't make enough money last year, so they're going to take it out on you this year. We're seeing that across the board. A lot of caution. Vendors are out to get you again, which is a narrative that we like to debunk here on this channel. But all of this started, or at least in part, the impetus for this whole big conversation started with a report from the Wedding Report that was released in June of this year. Now, it's important to keep in mind that numbers may have changed, shifted, skewed slightly from this, but this one specific report is what so many of these articles are hinging the basis of their conversation on. And then, in turn, going out to a couple of experts and or professionals to add some meat to the story. I think what we should do is, let's see, what's the website? I will link it down below if you guys are interested in checking it out. It's the 2021 COVID-19 Wedding Market Update. Now, I have done quite a bit of research on this because I was like, I want to present the most factual information possible. And I've seen plenty of articles that say the wedding boom is real, the wedding boom is happening, book your vendors as soon as possible. I'm seeing a lot of that. But unfortunately, I can't exactly cite the source for this one because I don't recall what it came from. But basically what I understand is that in a typical year for the last few years, we've seen about 2 million weddings a year. So to have 2.5, when you look at the numbers, really isn't that much of a stretch. It's only a 25% increase. So that's important to just kind of keep in mind. 2.5 sounds massive, but when you compare it to just 2, 25% increase. So now I'm just going to jump on into the report itself. Luckily, it's really short, and I'm going to highlight a couple things that I think it's really important that we talk about. Okay. In June 2021, we did a follow-up survey to determine how the market is moving. For this round, we had 2,229 consumers and 283 businesses respond. Most of the business responses came from those in photography, planning, venue, entertainment, attire, florist, and efficient segments. In the end, we are going to stay with our current forecast for 2021 and beyond. 1.93 million weddings in 2021 with an average spend of $22,500. 2022, they're saying 2.45 million weddings, average spend of $24.3 thousand. 2023, we're seeing 2.24 million weddings with an average spend of $24.9 thousand. But as we're seeing these numbers, there's not drastic increases. I mean, we are seeing a close to $2,000 increase in overall budget spending. And we're seeing about just over 500,000, so about 25% here, increase over 2021. After 2023, things should normalize and we will get back to pre-pandemic number of weddings and spending. Here are the results of the survey. 20% of 2021 weddings were rescheduled out to 2022. That's not that many. In fact, I would argue that 20% rescheduling and 25% higher than normal, those numbers seem pretty similar to me. And there's other facts here that I don't know if they help or hurt, so I'm just going to skip over some of them, all right? Some are seeing surges already while others are not. I think it depends on where you are in the country and the type of business you are in. I have not seen a surge at all. Now, I may not be the ideal avatar for this, but I have both an office in Southern California and here in Central Texas. It is not our goal to fill our schedules. We are not actively out pushing, looking for a bunch of clients simply because we have so much digital stuff going on, but I'm nowhere near booked up for 2022. I may have a couple inquiries for 2023, but we are not busting at the seams here with inquiries. So if any other vendor is watching this and you think that you are failing because you are hearing people talk about how busy they are or how much their 2022 season is booked out already, some of us aren't there. And I want you as a consumer, as a couple, to hear that and go, maybe you just need to keep looking. So me as a professional, when I hear that detail, I want to tell you as the consumer, the couple, maybe you just need to keep looking. Maybe you need to go outside of a certain area. If you keep running into these blockades, it sounds like a lot of people still have some availability. Now, of course, this report came out 6 months ago. Again, things might have changed, but if we're using this as a springboard to have this conversation, then it's good to keep this stuff in mind. Many are reporting that this year is not profit or new events, but reschedules. So that is impacting overall profit for the year. So this is for 2021. 87% of couples say they are not having any issues finding what they need or want. Do you want me to read that one more time? I'm going to read that one more time. 87% of couples say they are not having any issues finding what they need or want. 10% of couples are reporting higher prices prior to the pandemic. Maybe. Well, the other 90 are not. I know this is a big thing that a lot of people are talking about. 5% of couples reporting hard to find a venue for their date. 5% of couples are reporting that it's hard to find a venue for their date. That means the other 95% are not. Again, this was 6 months ago, so things may have changed a little bit. But let's say that you now have a 30-70 chance where 30% of couples are having a hard time, but the other 70 are still fine. I just want to add some perspective into the conversation. And then there's 15% of couples saying they are still cutting budgets as much as 28%, cutting guest count as much as 27%. Both budget cuts and guest count reduction is consistent with what businesses are reporting. And again, I will link that down below for you guys to go ahead and check out. This is not what we're seeing fully disclosed in all of these conversations. But if you take away one thing from this video, it's that I want you to have some hope. My guess is you are not going to be running into brick wall after brick wall after brick wall with every single vendor you select. Maybe you're looking in the wrong areas. Maybe you're researching in the wrong locations. Maybe you should be going to Facebook groups instead of the Knot or Wedding Wire. Now, be honest with me. How many of you were expecting this video to take that turn? I don't know if there's going to be like a 25% increase is still a lot, but I don't think we're going to see this super escalated, ramped up, everyone's burnt out, everyone's booked, there's no place to get married. I don't think it's that. So let's go through some takeaways from this. Some are seeing surges while others are not. I think it depends on where you are in the country and what type of business you are in. If you are running into those blockades as a couple trying to book a venue or vendors, one, I'm so sorry. And two, expand your search or try to look in a different area. Or maybe look at a different demographic of vendors. 87% of couples say they are not having issues finding what they need or want. If you haven't started looking, take that bit to heart, okay? 10% of couples report higher prices prior to the pandemic. I'm gonna let you in on a little vendor secret. Do you know most of us raise our prices every year? Every year. Yep, my prices this year are higher than they were last year, and I didn't do anything drastic to offset the losses from the previous year. No, because I got you guys. We did just fine. But every single year, many vendors raise their prices. Now, not an exorbitant amount. A 10% increase may be on the high end or maybe on the low end for some people. I'm not sure. I would hazard a guess that a majority of these vendors are not doing this to price gouge the unsuspecting victims. I'm sorry, clients. All to say, this alleged wedding boom may not affect you much at all. But I do recognize that there is still a percentage of you, and it will potentially grow as we go into 2022, that this is going to affect, right? So let's talk about some of the areas that it could affect you potentially and how to combat them or move through them as seamlessly as possible. Booking vendors, that's one that we discussed after going over the wedding report. You may find in the area that you're in, you're running into a lot of booked vendors. Expand your search. Either search in a larger, mile radius, search a little bit further away from where you are getting married. You may be paying a travel fee, but it opens up your options. Second one to that is try looking in different areas. If all you're doing is looking on websites like The Knot and Wedding Wire, turn to a local Facebook group. You can check out mine. I think I have it linked right here, and I have it linked down below as well. If you have not joined my Facebook group already, what are you doing? It's honestly, oh no, my necklace is twisted. It's honestly like the raddest group of humans that are all focused on helping each other plan budget-friendly weddings that end up looking absolutely incredible. I've been trying to go live over there about once a month, which is really fun to connect with you guys on a different platform, so check that one out. Now, where we will potentially see some of this wedding boom is actually shipping issues. and supply shortages. We're talking anything that you're ordering, like attire and or florals. That's where you might start to see some of these issues pop up. Maybe the factory has been closed down for too long and they're not making that particular kind of attire, or the floral that you wanted, that field was not well tended by that grower during that season because they didn't have enough workers to work the field. Those are very real, very tangible ways that you might run into some issues. So here's how I suggest that you combat those. One, be flexible and gracious, because no one wants to tell you that they don't have what you'd like to order. It's been a tough season for a lot of service providers, so be flexible and be kind. I have a video coming up with Lisa from 50 Flowers where we talk about like floral replacements. That'll be a good one to keep your eye out for, so be sure to hit subscribe so you can be here when we go over that one with her. As far as ordering attire, my absolute favorite, especially for those who are wearing suits, absolute favorite is Generation Tux, because they actually got ahead of the curve. I had an opportunity to chat with them last month too. They actually saw the shortages coming and ordered even more stock. They are the only suit rental company, I think, in the entire United States that did not have to cancel a single wedding. We talked about me going to check out their warehouse. I really hope that can happen. If you want to check out Generation Tux, I do have a link for them. I actually have a special code if you want to check it out. I'll put it up here. They're hands down my favorite suit rental company of all time. Another area that you might see this affect you is vendor scheduling and responsiveness. Because everything's so crazy, or because, vendors, every other vendor other than me apparently is fielding a bunch of inquiries. I don't know. You may see a slowed response time and or some scheduling delays if they say, hey, I just have to get through this heavy month of quite a few weddings and I will hopefully chat with you in a couple of weeks. And again, with all these things, flexibility is key. Your vision, your vendors, your venue. The more adamant you are about the look, the space, the date, the vendors, the more opportunities you may have for running into blockades. If you are also in an area where vendors and or venues are moving quickly and you've really started to pick up on that, you need to make educated decisions swiftly. This is not the time to hem and haw and go back and forth. Again, this is if you are sensing a lot of movement, or if the venue tells you, hey, there's multiple people that are interested in this date, and you feel that sense of urgency. Make sure you make educated decisions in these manners. Don't just book it because you're panicked that you're not going to find something else, because unless you missed the last 15 minutes of this video, there is a high likelihood that you're going to find something that's going to work just wonderfully for you guys. That is where I cannot recommend the master plan enough, especially if you are getting into this right now and you're like, you know what, I don't even want to deal with this mess. I'm going to be planning in 2023. You're going to want as much time as possible learning how a wedding budget works, learning how to talk to vendors, how you're supposed to email them, what you should be looking for in your contracts. You absolutely 10 out of 10 need to join the master plan. And yes, you may see prices that are higher. It could be because a vendor is completely booked up and they're like, you know what, I'm just going to toss in higher prices because I don't really feel like taking on that much. And maybe they get booked then anyways. Whether it's because the vendor or venue is in high demand, or they need to offset their losses from 2020 and the beginning of 2021, or they simply are raising their prices as they do every single year. If you got a quote from them 12 months ago, that number may look different now. And the last thing you're going to want to keep in mind is your guests. As we move into this next season, your guests are probably going to be invited to quite a few weddings. This is where I actually think that bringing in a save the date is a great idea. Usually we say about 6 months in advance, but I'd say in this circumstance, if you want to do 8 months, 10 months, dare I say a year, that might actually be a smart move to make sure that you let your guests know with ample time in case they're going to be bombarded with all these fun parties to attend. You want to make sure you got there first, all right? Now, so as far as this boom is concerned, I am not losing sleep over it. I do think that is real. I do think we are seeing an increase in weddings. I do think that there's a potential that people might panic when they're trying to book things for their weddings. I get it. This is real. We're not denying that it's not real. But I also think that there is a workaround for each and every single one of these issues. Like I said earlier, flexibility is key. With your vision, with your venue, with your vendors. There is tons of space here in the wedding industry. In fact, if you are on the lookout or on the market for a wedding planner or coordinator in your area, I will put a link of all of my favorite gals down below that have gone through my mentorship training if you want to check those out. And if you're watching this video newly engaged and this is the market that you're stepping into, let me help you out. Let me hold your hand. Become a member of the master plan and I will teach you how to plan your wedding, and we're going to take all the guesswork out of it and we're going to make it as streamlined and as simple as possible. So how about you guys? Are you being affected by the boom? Have you noticed the boom? Or you only heard about the boom from other people but haven't experienced it in your own planning? Let me know in the comments below, because obviously this report's about 6 months old, so who knows how much of this is true, right? Great. So that's all we have for this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like the video, be sure to jump on down there, hit that like button, and subscribe to this channel for more tips and tricks for the modern day bride. And until next week, bye, guys.